Okay, Glenn Beck made an appearance in Washington State. A few people asked whether or not they think Glenn Beck is right in saying that Barack Obama hates white people. Well, let's take a listen to what they said.
Can I ask you, is it truth when Glenn Beck says that President Obama hates white people?
You know, come in, brother. I don't really know if that is for sure exactly what he said.
He said, I think...
I've never heard him. I've seen every program.
I've never heard him.
It was on Fox and Friends. He did it on Fox and Friends.
Fox and Friends.
Oh, she doesn't watch Fox and Friends. Okay, and then just up the road in Seattle, we also heard from some other protest. These were really just rallies for Glenn Beck who showed up. And here's what people had to say there. Here's an interesting one.
About, sir? Come over here with your Glenn Beck lied sign. Sure. Tell me what he lied about, sir.
Do you think President Obama hates white people?
Absolutely not. I think he loves everybody.
So why did Glenn Beck say that?
Actually, he hates everybody.
Oh, okay.
He's an equal opportunity hater. Actually, he loves my money and hates me.
Why would you tell the country? Why would you tell all the white people in this country that
Can
the
you tell me
president
when he
hates
said
them?
that? When did he say that?
He said it on Fox and Friends a month and a half ago.
And in what context? Let's get the context clear because we got to go back to what Obama said many times in context.
All right, this guy's really upset about context. It would be fascinating. I wish we had some of these rallies locally so we could take a camera like a lot of blogs are doing.
Like what would the context be? Like he said those words, okay, Obama hates white people.
The only thing
that could have followed that might change the context is Obama hates white people when he's tripping on acid or something like that. Or
something. The only mitigating statement that I could imagine is that we didn't hear that would provide context that would change anything is what I'm about to say is completely false. That's the only context I can imagine that would make one iota of difference.
Right.
Talking about approval ratings, a lot of people talking about Barack Obama's decreasing approval, which I agree is not looking good, but it's not being mentioned that the approval ratings of others in the same polls are even lower. For example, at around 50%, Barack Obama's approval rating is still more than twice as high as the approval rating of congressional Republicans and the Republican Party overall at about 22%. Almost 4 times as high is Barack Obama's approval rating as that of John Boehner. Plus, we know nobody really likes politicians, so we have to wonder if 54 or 50 or 48 is bad for Obama, how bad is 22 for the Republican Party? I think that we're only hearing some of those polls in the same way that we often did with George W. Bush, 29% approval. We weren't hearing, well, Congress overall, Democratic Congress has 17% approval. People don't seem to love politicians is what I'm starting to realize, I think, Lewis.
Generally, but can we really trust these numbers too? I mean, it seems like a very, very rough reflection of people's general opinion.
We know that when you ask about President Obama, you're going to get a probably more accurate answer because more people are thinking about that regularly. Right. How many people are going through their day thinking, do I approve of the job Mitch McConnell is doing or not? Right. Not that many people are thinking about that from day to day. A right-wing conference tells activists to get their guns ready for bloody battle with Barack Obama the Nazi. At the How to Take Back America conference last weekend, conservative speaker Kitty Worthman led a workshop called How to Recognize Living Under Nazis and Communists. So sometimes I'll go to a workshop, for example, expanding your talk radio audience through social media. This is one called How to Recognize Living Under Nazis and Communists. In case you're living under Nazis and communists and haven't realized it, this workshop will tell you how. And here's what Kitty Worthman had to say.
And had we had our guns, we would have fought a bloody battle to the last person. So keep your guns and buy more guns and buy ammunition. Take back America. Don't let them take the country into socialism. And I refer again, Hitler's party was National Socialism. And that's what we are having here right now, which is bordering on Marxism.
Okay, so Kitty Worthman says Barack Obama is a Nazi, and we have a Nazi system. We have a communist system at the same time. So wait a second. Is Barack Obama a communist, or is he a Nazi? Because we hear both from all over the place. Ann Coulter saying those Hitler Obama posters that you're seeing where Obama's drawn with a Hitler mustache, those aren't from the conservatives that are supposedly holding them. Liberals are drawing those to instigate. It's amazing. Anytime that you see anything like that, if it's liberals, it's liberals. And if it's conservatives, it's the liberals setting themselves up to look like conservatives. Hard to believe.
Well, what can you expect from Ann Coulter?
Last thing today, Richard Dawkins, who is a British ethologist, evolutionary biologist, and popular science author, formerly professor for the public understanding of science at Oxford. He is known as an atheist. And he was asked, what if you're wrong about atheism at a recent event that he did? Here's his answer.
This is probably going to be the most simplest one for you to answer, but what if you're wrong?
Well, what if I'm wrong? I mean, anybody could be wrong. We could all be wrong about the flying spaghetti monster and the pink unicorn and the flying teapot. You happen to have been brought up, I would presume, in the Christian faith. You know what it's like not to believe in a particular faith because you're not a Muslim, you're not a Hindu. Why aren't you a Hindu? Because you happen to have been brought up in America, not in India. If you'd been brought up in India, you'd be a Hindu. If you were brought up in Denmark in the time of the Vikings, you'd be believing in Wotan and Thor. If you were brought up in classical Greece, you'd be believing in Zeus. If you were brought up in Central Africa, you'd be believing in the great Juju up the mountain. I mean, there's no particular reason to pick on the Judeo-Christian God in which, by the sheerest accident, you happen to have been brought up, and ask me the question, what if I'm wrong? What if you're wrong about the great Juju at the bottom of the sea?
So interesting to hear his comment, and he is right. Essentially, it's by complete chance whatever religion you happen. You know, there's obviously the ethnicity of your religion, which with some religions is a factor, and there's then the religious component, and there is a lot of chance that goes into it. And interesting to hear Richard Dawkins, and we have more video of him with Bill O'Reilly, which is really good. We just don't have the time for it today.
Another time. Thanks for listening to Midweek Politics. Midweekpolitics.com is the website. And we will see you next week, youtube.com/midweekpolitics for the TV version. Thanks for listening.